Hi, this is Kathy from MummyTravels and I'm in Cambodia. We are spending 2 weeks travelling around, and I promised that while I was here I would try to do a bit of vlogging, answer some of the questions you put to me about Cambodia with kids. So first up, I had a question about coping with the heat while you're out here. Having been in Burma last year with my daughter when she was then 3 and temperatures were pushing 40 centigrade, it is hard work trying to explore with small kids when it's that hot. To be honest, it's hard work when it's that hot and you are an adult. So this year when we came to Cambodia, we're actually here in the rainy season, the green season. It's a choice whether you want to try that or not. That runs sort of through the UK summertime and into autumn, and the weather tends to get progressively rainier as you go through. So this is the very start of August now, and we've been here since the end of July. You can never entirely predict the weather. We have been, I think, generally pretty lucky. We've had a couple of gloriously blue days. We've had a few days where there have been sudden torrential downpours, but you shelter from those. They pass in 5 minutes and you carry on. And it does mean that A, they cool things down quite significantly, and B, the temperatures overall are not as hot. So we're talking kind of high 20s up into maybe the low 30s rather than high 30s up into 40. And that really does make a big difference. If you want to come in peak season, when it is also going to be busier but it is going to be drier, then the other thing I would suggest is something that we've done ourselves now, is to start looking at private tours. Not that you can't travel on group tours or any other way that you fancy in Cambodia, but what it gives you is the flexibility. So we have been able to, if things have got too much or I've seen my daughter's flagging, we can stop and take a bit of a break. We can cut it short. One day when we were in Battambang, we were out until sort of lunchtime, then back to the hotel for a few hours, then out again in the evening. And there was an option of something else we could have done in between, but I decided that we would be better back at the hotel for a couple of hours. So you can do that without being restricted to a specific day timetable. Our trip is all through a company called Stubborn Mule, so I would obviously definitely recommend checking them out. But you can arrange individual private tours as well, or there are other companies that will do it too. Then the other advice is the kind of standard advice that you always get. Try to do things early, try to do things late. So if you are staying sort of close to the centre of things, or in terms of Cambodia and Siem Reap, if you're staying close to the temples, you can go out sort of first thing. With kids, you may not want to do the sunrise watching over Angkor Wat, amazing though it may be. I know I didn't fancy getting my daughter up in the middle of the night to watch the sunrise. The other thing that you can also do at Angkor Wat is you can get more than just a day ticket. So you can get 3-day tickets, 3-day pass, or a 7-day pass if you're staying for much longer. Now they don't have to be used consecutively either. The 3-day pass will last you for a week. So if you're going to spend 4, 5, 6 days in Siem Reap, it's a good idea to try and get that pass, and then you can go for a couple of hours here, a couple of hours there. You don't have to try and cram it all in. Again, coping with the heat, bear in mind that you're probably going to have jet lag, and there is so much to do, so many temples to do, so long that you could spend at each one. And with younger kids, I think you have to slightly resign yourself to the fact that you cannot spend all day, every day, for several days in a row going round and round temples. Even if you don't get temple fatigue, they very, very quickly will. So plan what you really want to see and go and see that first. One bonus you do have, some of the less visited temples, some of the temples outside of Angkor itself are still quite overgrown. And because of that, you get some tree shade as well, which is another bonus when it gets hot. So the next thing I think is worth thinking about is how you're going to get around when you are seeing all the different temples. That depends also in part how you do it, obviously, and what time of year you go. What we did when we went round the main Angkor temples and Bayon and so on was we went in a moto. It's kind of like a little motorised tuk-tuk and you just get the airflow through. They're open-sided, so that helps to keep the temperatures down. I imagine in peak season when it's dustier, that may not be quite as good. What we've done a lot of the rest of the time, going to the further out temples, going out to Tonle Sap, and getting around between the cities as well, is do it by car. Private transfer with our own driver. Again, this has all been sorted out as part of our trip with Stubborn Mule, and it's air conditioned. So you sort of have to weigh up, is it authentic, and how the Cambodians will travel? No, obviously not in a lot of cases, but however authentic the public bus is, and it would be quite an experience to have, I wanted things to be very easy, very straightforward, nice and cool, and it just helps make things a lot easier, I think, when you're with small kids. Then one of the other ways that I think makes a massive difference if you're travelling somewhere hot with kids, again, not a major secret, but it's surprising how helpful it is staying somewhere with a pool. When you've been out exploring for hours and you're hot and you're sweaty and you're dusty and you're tired, being able to dive into a lovely cool pool is just blissful. And this worked for us in Burma, this has been working for us in Cambodia as well. It doesn't have to be the great big hotels, you don't have to have massive resort pools, but just having that for an hour or so at the end of the day is such a difference. So worthwhile. And the other tips as well have an element of common sense, but equally it's easy to forget the obvious when you're trying to pack for 2 weeks away. So I have several fans at home. I didn't bring any of them with us, so we bought a paper fan while we were in one of the shops in Siem Reap, and it actually, you know, it does help. It just, when you're feeling really hot, a little bit of moving air makes a difference. Lots of water, obviously, regular stops. This comes back to having sort of a private tour. We had my daughter's leap and hop activity book, and we just stop now and then. We'd find a shady spot, find a nice stone to sit on, and she might do a page of that, or we'd read one of the stories, and it just helped keep her entertained and keep her going. In terms of covering up, adults need to keep shoulders and sort of at least the top of your legs covered. For young kids, they don't, you know, those kind of rules aren't enforced. They can basically turn up pretty much in whatever they want. Having said that, it can be cooler to sort of have loose clothing on. So my daughter had a couple of pairs of kind of loose ankle length, very lightweight trousers. And I quite often put her in her like rash vest swimming tops, which are UV protective as well, which is good if it's hot, and they're very thin, very lightweight, so they don't get her too hot, but they also keep her covered from the sun. Depending how you're going to do it, you might find that just sort of lightweight t-shirt and shorts is better. Either way, you won't have any problems with kids wearing those in the temples, so don't worry about that. So those are my main tips. I think the key thing to say is you definitely can do it. You don't have to miss out. You can take kids to places like Angkor Wat or to Bagan in Burma, which we did last year. You just have to accept that you will probably do it a bit differently than if you're on your own. So, as I said, probably no sunrise starts, otherwise you just end up with an overexhausted small child who didn't really care about seeing the sunrise anyway. Or you do a bit in the morning and a bit in the afternoon, have a big break, or you only see a couple of the main temples, or you only see each temple for an hour, you know, all that kind of thing. Having said that, it is amazing what kids can do. When we got to Battambang, there's a Banan temple, which is at the top of, I think it's 358 steps. And all the while there I was thinking, you know, we're going to get 20 steps up and I'm going to get told, no mummy, I'm too hot, I'm too tired, there's too many steps. Anyway, my daughter was off like a gazelle, bounding up the steps. Come on mummy, come on, come on. I'm puffing away behind her. You know, wait for me, just stop there. And she absolutely loved it. So you never know till you try. We've had a fantastic time here, we had a fantastic time in Burma. Just a bit of common sense, a bit of planning, a bit of perseverance, and if it comes to it, some sweets as bribes always helps.